Okay, so let's rock and roll them, Coach. Any questions?
Coach, what did you see on the film or some things you want to help during make that jump that Coach talks about? It's always from week 1 to week 2.
Yeah, a lot of things to clean up, right? Communication we've got to clean up. Some technique things. Obviously, third down, we're not good enough, and we need to get better there. A lot to clean up. But I was impressed with their effort, and their physicality. That's something we preached all week, and they did that. Now you've got to bring the FBI, the awareness, the technique, all of that, along with that physicality. But it was nice to see guys flying around.
Is there a common theme on the third down? You mentioned that immediately after the game, something you weren't real good this year.
You know what? It was kind of a mix. There was a couple of third downs from a call standpoint that I would love to have back. There were a couple of third downs that, I think there was a lack of awareness. We understood what kind of route was coming. We talked about it. We got those routes. If we get a route that we weren't expecting, that we didn't rep, you can live with that as a coach. It's the ones that when you've repped it, you've talked about it, you sort of make a play call for that reason. And whether you're in man coverage and you're a little soft, whether we were in zone coverage and we needed a guy to push harder to that spot to understand, what was happening with the pressure, those little things. And that's when, again, if you're smart and playing the game smart, that's when you're playing really good, and you're getting off the field because you recognize the routes and you can steal some plays.
On Saturday, it marked the third straight season where you guys allowed less than 300 yards for the first time since 2009. Can you kind of just talk about that accomplishment?
I didn't know about it, so you know what? At the end of the day, what we talk about all the time, it's not about yards for us. It's all about points and points per game and giving the offense opportunities. That was the other thing that I was just disappointed, is that in the second half we may have kept points off the board, with the goal line stand and the blocked field goal. But what we didn't do was we had these long extended drives and we never let the offense get the ball, and that's on us as a defense. And we've got to do a better job of that. But no, any time you can hold an offense under 300 yards, you're doing okay. Like that's a decent day. But there was a lot of opportunities that we could have gotten off the field earlier, given our ball the offense, and it could have been an even better day.
What do you see from the Eastern quarterback on the field?
He's a playmaker. He does a great job of extending plays. He knows where to go with the ball. He's all kinds of savvy, in that regard. And even when he runs the ball in the zone read, I think people don't realize how fast he is. Like, he'll run away from defenders. If he's got a one-on-one, he can make a defender miss. No, he's far more athletic than people give him credit for. And then when he's pitching the ball around the field, like, he knows where to go with it. The ball placement's really good. No, he's going to be a handful.
Right, how would you assess the way Trevor?
Obviously, everybody saw the explosive plays, and what I was pleased with Trevin was he was far more downhill than he was, these sort of the last 2 years. That was an emphasis point. But with that, there were still some things from an eye violation standpoint. Carrying some vertical routes in our cover threes that he missed, and he knows, and that's where he'll improve. But like any one of our guys, you sort of have a primary focal point, and we really focused on him playing physical downhill, and that's what showed. And you felt him. Like, that's a fast, powerful individual from sideline to sideline.
Was playing more downhill a function of him with a better understanding of his responsibilities?
Yeah, there's a trust factor that, hey, listen, coach has given me the green light to do this, right? I think a lot, he would tell you, like, playing next to D-Jack really helps because those two communicate, and so D-Jack can, help identify some formational things, or you know, at least if he knew Trevin was going, hey, you pull the pin, all backfill, you know, those kind of things. And you know, when you have two really good friends that are working together, they can help manipulate the defense a little bit, and that's what I want. You know, I want these guys to have an understanding that they can take calculated risks and chances if there's a reasoning behind what they're doing, and you know, and they're working within the framework. You know, you don't want everybody just taking a chance, you know, willy-nilly. So, but no, I those two, they study hard, they work hard, so you know, you give them a little bit of freedom.
Brad, kind of a two-part question there on that goal line stand you had, and talking about points being the main objective. Looked like Zion made a great play before that.
Yep.
Had it taken away from him, and then, but your guys, sometimes in those cases, the defense will let down and give up the score after a tough break, but they didn't.
Yeah, we said we needed to be able to handle adversity, you know, and respond. And again, that was one of those times I was proud of them. They rose up in that instance and made 4 really good stops. The other, on that same, you know, after he makes the pick, he gets the PI. We're down in goal line defense, and he makes a one-on-one tackle, you know, on the running back. That was really good. And on the previous goal line attempt where they did end up scoring the touchdown earlier in the first quarter, Jalen made a similar hit, which was great to see. So it was really good to see those safeties down there on the goal line, you know, bring their pads and knock ball carriers back in one-on-one situations on the run.
How much of an impact does Dion make taking out multiple blockers, open up lanes, so Trevin and guys alongside him on the D-line ever make those plays downfield like you're talking about?
Yeah, I thought the whole D-line played well. You know, I think Dion's stat sheet may not have looked overwhelming, but if you actually watch the tape, you know how much he influenced that game. And there was, you know, at least 3 that I can think of off the top of my head where he's literally has his hand on the quarterback, and you know, one was the touchdown pass, one was the 3rd down, you know, against you know, on the man coverage that the receiver, you know, got down the sideline, and there was another one in I think another 3rd down situation, but he was that close, you know, to putting up the sack, but it was the influence, it's that presence in there. I thought the whole D-line was physical at the point of attack. It was good to see, you know, Keyshawn and Josiah and Dinkins at the nose really controlling the middle. So yes, it makes a big difference for those backers when that line of scrimmage is getting controlled, you know, by big bodies.
Red Khalil obviously had a sack and a half. His speed was kind of what stood out to me, at least from upstairs. Is that something he's always been known for, or did he kind of work on his body to upgrade that this offseason?
You know, he's been a guy that's had that since he stepped in. We saw that in high school and recruiting, and since his freshman year, he's always had that twitch and that explosion. You know, and that's what tends to happen with Khalil too, is the fact that when you are tightly wound like that, that's where you gotta watch for soft tissue issues, you know. And Jamin had that throughout his career. So those guys that are really twitchy and, you know, you can have some muscular stuff, and so keeping him healthy and fresh, you know, is the big key. But because when he does it, like, it's just a different level. I mean, that is a big man move, and everybody sees the sacks. The play that sticks out for me is when they were running to the edge, and he set the edge, the ball broke, and he ran flat down the line. I mean, that was an impressive play for a big man.
What's been the biggest adjustment in just preparing for Ball State, and then this week preparing for DKU defensively?
Biggest adjustment? You know, there's some carryover, you know, in terms of offensive style, so that's been good for us. You know, in terms of, you know, some of their run game and their pass game. They push you know, EKU will push the ball vertically a little bit more, so that's, you know, something we've got to work and make sure that we limit the big plays. Wasn't pleased with how many we gave up on Saturday, so we need to limit that, and we need to do a better job.
Mark talked about having pop, you know, like weeks on Saturday. Is that just an eye discipline issue you mentioned earlier?
The boots. Yeah, there was the one boot, that got him down to about the 3-yard line, and again we thought, initially, I think that the thought that it was just what we call a swap boot from behind the line, and it was a harder boot when it comes from over the top of the line, and we tend to get those back into the boundary as opposed to the field on that side. And just the formational setup, it was one of the first times Alex had sort of gotten that rep. So I think you look in retrospect and it's like we need to be able to handle that better. The one on the holding penalty on the boot into the boundary, we're in great shape. There's no need there for Khalil to hold that guy, and he knows that. He'll be play smarter. It's better off if you don't. You get to go right up to the QB. So those are just mistakes that we need to clean up. That we don't need to make. Those are fundamental type things. Again, the one on Alex was as much on me for not giving him a rep like that before. So he'll learn from that, and we'll be better.
Thanks, folks. We've got our